I'm Louisa Barton with the Horse Talk Show here at Peterson and Smith Equine Hospital in Ocala, Marion County, Florida, the horse capital of the world. I have Dr. Adam Cayot, been on the show with us before, sitting with me. We're going to talk about something close to home for me, when you should retire your horse. I say never. Dr. Cayot probably doesn't agree with me. My horse is 34 and still going strong. Of course, he's in good hands. He is a patient of Peterson and Smith himself. I've had him with me for 26 years, and he still likes to go about 5 or 6 miles on the beach or the trail. Dr. Cayot, thoughts on when you should retire your horse?
Well, it's a difficult it's a difficult subject, and it can be a touchy subject depending on the owner, because some people, have a hard time of letting go of, their buddy, right? Then their friend and their companion and what they used to do and what they would do, with the horse and that sort of thing. It's very individualized per horse. Obviously you have a 34-year-old that still goes 5-6 miles a day, and a lot of that has to do with, number one, just genetic makeup of the horse. Number two, how a 34-year-old horse is not the same across the board. Some 34-year-olds don't have as much miles on the tires as, others, and that plays a certain role. And so those are things that you should think of. I tend to, when people ask me that question, is it time to retire my horse? I look at, number one, what was the horse doing? I looked at a polo pony yesterday, and polo pony was 18, and those guys have a tough life. That's a hard job. That's a hard, stressful job on the horse's legs, and there aren't many polo ponies that make it to 34 years old, playing. Not any, probably. And this particular one was 18 years old, and had a bad suspensory in the front leg and a torn superficial flexor tendon in the back leg. And at that point, you kind of say, okay, is this worth going on with the horse? And these owners are very responsible owners, and they want to do what's best for the, even though the pony was a good plain pony, she decided that this is the time. And I agreed with her, because when things start breaking, they just continue to break, that sort of thing. So that kind of comes into play, I think. I think if you're trying to perform with this animal and stuff continues to go wrong, they're having injuries and that are occurring more frequently, and doing what they have always done, then you need to seriously consider, am I being fair? And that can be a very difficult, a difficult question to ask yourself, because, everybody can be a little selfish at some points, and they want to continue the good times and everything that they've had with their friends. So it makes it hard. But when people come to me and ask those questions, I try to take as much as the whole picture into account as I can, and say, well, let's see what's happening here. What problems are we having? Are these problems reoccurring? And are they reoccurring because this horse is not able to do his job anymore?
Now, a question. For example, I have another older horse who's 27, and he hasn't been ridden very much in the last year. Actually, I texted you about him the other day. And he's been getting down on the ground and having trouble getting back up. And I think some of that may be due to loss of muscle tone in his rear end, because he seems weaker in the rear end from not being ridden very much. Is it really important with an older horse, especially if you're retiring it from sort of a major job where it's been ridden quite a lot, which is obviously keeping it strong and fit? Is it important then, if you do retire a horse from a sport, to not just let that horse be turned out and go? And is it important to keep up some form of exercise in order to keep that horse fit and keep some muscle tone to help it age and retire at least and still be healthy?
Absolutely. It's just like people, fitness is great for people, and it's great for your equine athletes, and if you can maintain some level of fitness the rest of their life, it does prolong their ability to live a full, healthy, happy life. If you can exercise, it's just like a person or an old man. If that older gentleman can go to the gym and still keep up some muscle tone, even though they might be in their 60s, 70s, 80s, that helps so much, because then you don't have the problems of them getting up when they lay down, or a person getting out of bed and trying to dress themselves, or a horse trying to be with his buddies around. They're less likely to get injured. They maintain their muscle tone, and that's really difficult. That's what we see in old horses as they deteriorate, or as they age. Their body deteriorates. Their digestive system becomes less efficient in converting calories to body mass. They start losing muscle tone. And at some point, it makes it very difficult to get that back, or to reverse the course. And if you're continuing to lose muscle mass, then typically they become too heavy, and they can't support their body. They can't support the skeleton. So depending on how much muscle mass you lose. But if you can keep them in some sort of activity, not just walking around the field, but some sort of activity, even light riding or that sort of thing, that helps. And that helps prolong, the life of the animal, and the useful life of the animal. They don't necessarily have to be doing high goal polo their whole life, but if you just get out and trot the horse around, or get on and do light trail riding or something like that, all of that helps. I know there are some farms that thoroughbred farms that they have their stallions, and even though the stallion is retired from racing, they still take them out and they work them daily, and it keeps that muscle tone, it keeps them in good shape, and it would do the same to your horse. So absolutely, they don't necessarily have to be doing big Grand Prix jumps or anything like that. Take it back a notch, take it down a notch, put their exercise level into a box that they can do comfortably. And if you have the ability and time to do that, that would certainly help them.
So even if turned out in the field, just being able to jump on them a few times a week maybe, and just keeping them going, keeping them moving, just like an older person. The more you move, the less likely you're to get stiff. And I find my older horses do better turned out than in the stall. They tend to get stocked up in the stall. So I think being turned out is often much better for older horses, if possible.
If you can do that, absolutely, because it just keeps the elasticity in the muscle. It keeps them, it keeps they aren't just standing in one place using the same muscles over and over again, while the other ones, the activity muscles, are getting neglected, that sort of thing. So if you're able to do that, and they can be outside, horses are meant to be outside. That's what they're meant to be. I mean, that's the best spot for them if they can be. And so, yeah.
Wonderful. I'm here with Dr. Adam Cayot at Peterson & Smith Equine Hospital. I'm Louisa Barton for the Horse Talk Show.